The next step is repairing any tears or wearing in the actual material and utilizing any replacement material such as webbing if need be for reinforcement or replacement hangers. Now I've picked this pouch out especially in order to show you guys. We have a wear mark here, we have a split seam here, and we have a hole down here. I've gone ahead and strung a thread already through the large needle from the tent repair kit, and it's a double strand. Simply go ahead, use a very sharp knife, and cut the strand from the spool. Go ahead and even the two lines out and put it into one side coming out the other. Come back and then do an overhead hand knot 3 or 4 times to give yourself a good base. Now from here, depending on what you're trying to accomplish, whether you're putting the seam together or here where we have to actually draw the two pieces closer together than they normally would be, you want to use a couple different sewing patterns. Here, because we're simply have the two pieces lined up, we're going to do an in and out zigzagging motion on that. When we go to do this and we want to actually use the thread to pull the two pieces together, we're going to use an overhand looping method. So we're going to go ahead and do that, and then I will come back and show you. Make sure to leave yourself a little tail here so that when you sew down and then sew back, you have something to tie back off. Now, I've gone ahead and sewn this and attempted to be as neat as possible for visual appeal. As you can see, I went back and forth on this repair to simply draw the two seams together, avoiding any of the frayed material, passing it by and drawing it slightly closer than it normally would be. I've gone out and then I've worked back and then come to the end where we left our tail and gone ahead and done a double overhand knot several times for security. Now, one thing when you are sewing, sometimes you can get a snag. This is easily cleared by simply pulling on the two independent strands gently on either side and working any knots out. Nylon thread in particular can be pretty finicky, so I find using either wax or a talcum powder or even spit can be enough of a lubricant to keep that from occurring. Also, it will have the natural desire to spin as you're sewing and twist the line up. Go ahead and be cognizant of that and try to keep your line straight as you're sewing along. So we're ready to go ahead and move on to the next. Now on this section, which had a large wear mark starting to form a hole, I actually did a circular stitch to draw the two pieces together. If you find that a hole has appeared and you're too afraid that it will adversely affect the dimensions of the pouch, so perhaps the canteen won't quite fit right anymore because the hole is too large and you'll be squishing too much material together, simply take a piece of that webbing, place it inside as an interior patch. Don't be afraid to turn the pouch inside out to sew. Use it as a patch on the inside and sew directly to the webbing material. You'll preserve the physical shape and form of the pouch while reestablishing structural integrity of it with the webbing. Now it looks like I've used up way too much thread and I don't have quite enough for the third hole. So I'll go ahead and thread some more. It's really a matter of eyeing it, and it's probably always better to use more rather than less for extra strength. Alright, I've gone ahead and given myself some more thread, and I've gone ahead and sewn with an overhand looping method the hole. By traveling around in a spiraling direction, much like the spokes in a bicycle, you can successfully pull the material all together and bunch it up. It was also starting to separate the seam right there as well, so I went ahead and incorporated that all into the stitch. I know I've jumped off of camera here a couple times, but really it's only been 30 seconds or a minute of stitching each time in between what you're seeing. And once I clean all of this up, this pouch is going to be ready for service again, and with the new sew job on it, it will be very structurally sound. Even non-Cordura nylon, particularly this thread here, is surprisingly strong stuff, and this pouch should be able to take quite a beating now again and function as a very successful piece of equipment. Once you do have everything put together and you're ready to field the pouch, you just want to do a little extra maintenance, whether or not you're cleaning up an old button or lubricating a new one. You want to go ahead and use some oil. I find the best thing is either this 3-in-1 or out of the cleaning kits, the CLP. Go ahead and put a dab of it on your finger, just run it around there. Also go to the other side and just try to rub a little bit in there. You don't need very much at all, just a residue on your finger. And that should be enough to make sure that the snap starts operating properly again. Alright, well, as you can see, we have two completely serviced Canteen pouches. One was in a lot better condition than the other one, but they were both awfully dirty. So by cleaning them up, number one, right off the bat, they look a lot better. But as we learned, cleaning out any dirt or gunk, number one, is going to keep it from fatiguing the material slowly over time. Number two, redoing the coatings will prevent rust, especially on the Alice clips, and prevent any shine. And number three, as far as sewing structural integrity, it's very important to repair any tears in the seams in particular, because you risk unraveling. And under the weight of use, leaving something open like that is just going to mean over time it's going to tear worse, and then you will completely destroy the item. But by cleaning them up, recoating them, and sewing them, we snap them back into shape. They're structurally sound and they're ready to use. I think I paid a couple bucks at the surplus store for both of these. So just with a couple simple tools and some materials that were gathered up, we were able to bring those back pretty nicely. I don't know if you can tell the difference. One is a little worn than the other one, but I think they match pretty closely. Like I said, more importantly, they're ready to go back on my web gear. I'm going to take these out with me next time. So that's that. If you have any questions or comments or any clarifications you need, go ahead and go down and leave a comment in the comment section. Thanks for watching. I appreciate it. I'll try to bring some more videos to you guys that I hope are helpful to you. I know it's been helpful to me because I now have some functional Canteen covers again that look great. So remember to get out there camping and don't let your gear intimidate you. It's a very easy thing to do. And you take care of your gear, as I've heard said so many times before, your gear will take care of you, especially when you need it the most. So thanks for watching, and we will catch you next time. Before we get to it, one other thing. I'm sorry, we forgot. One other thing to cover, very important. When you go out to used bookstores or the surplus stores, keep your eyes out for these manuals. They're certainly the most entertaining manuals that the government ever produced. They're manuals on, let's see, we have care and use of individual clothing and equipment. That's about 80s or 90s. Then we also have care and use of integrated individual fighting system, which is the later Alice stuff before they jump to Molly. You can even find, these great diagrams on the internet if you look, which are great for helping you repair or replace stuff. And then this one, which is a real golden gem, which is a 1973 one. This one is particularly handy. I think I got it for $5 back. We had a ton of these in our library. $5 at a surplus store. 1973. It covers both the M1956, which is the cotton duck stuff, and the newer nylon equipment. But more importantly, beyond the care and the maintenance, it also has a lot of equipment tricks in here that we'll cover in some other videos, plus laundering instructions. It's just chock full of stuff. including shelter halves and cool stuff like that. But the real key to it is all of the tricks, not just laundering instructions and repair instructions, but a ton of tricks that you might not get in the other manuals on how to do things, just from keeping equipment, camp craft, stuff like that. If you see pictures on the internet of diagrams of things like ponchos, it likely came out of this book, because this is a definite, even if you can't read, you're illiterate, get this book. It is so filled with illustrations and pictures and cartoons on how to do all this stuff, on how to assemble and how to launder, clean, repair, and configure this gear. So these are definite good to get item. $5, you can't beat it. So anyway, that's enough out of that. Let's go ahead and get to the pouches here. So when you're out looking for gear, remember, don't let the gear intimidate you. This is a lot easier and a lot faster and a lot cheaper than you think. So let's go ahead and get to it.